Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of West Side Meetup. Once again, thank you guys for your time. It's our most valuable asset, and we like to honor that. And stepping in to Rod Baker's space today because Rod Baker is busy serving our country. We got the co-host Cedric Cogby all the way from Cali. Go ahead, Cedric.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to West Side Meetup. Some housekeeping rules for you. First, this meeting will be recorded and it will be posted online. So if you want to watch it again, you can watch it again if you missed it or if you want to share it with somebody. Second, I'd like to ask everyone to please mute your mics because we like to talk. And it's hard to hear when everybody's talking at the same time. So let's minimize the distractions for our speaker and for everyone else. And so let's see, if you have any questions, please write them down, post them in the chat box because we will monitor them. We'll try to get to every single question at the end. And lastly, please stick around after the presentation as we go into breakout rooms. That's the real meat, where the rubber meets the road, as we break into this breakout room so we could do some networking. Just a legal disclaimer, this is information only. Follow us on Facebook at the West Side Real Estate Meetup Group. Follow and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Also, if you're not on our email list, please send us an email at, Brandon's going to put that information in there, westsiderealestatemeetup@gmail.com, so we can add you to the email list. There will be another event, a real estate event at the park, face-to-face, not interface. Add yourself to the email list, of course. And then a small favor we'd like to ask you all, if you find value tonight as we meet together, please let a friend or family member know about us and our monthly meetup. So let's see what I got here. Oh, of course, my computer's. I need to let you know that we are passing the mic. Let's see. The information discussed tonight is for educational and entertainment purposes. It's not suitable for all investors or your personal situations or your specific financial journey. So if you have any doubts or concerns about the merits of today's topics, we encourage you to seek further information to find out that we do share pretty good stuff here. So ultimately, you are the captain, navigator, first mate, or primate of your own financial ship in this sea of life. So without much ado, let's pass the mic to B. Rabe, large and in charge of Recharge Bootcamp, the mighty Brandon Rabe. Boom.
Thank you for that introduction, Cedric. Really enjoyed that. Welcome everyone to this month's edition of West Side Meetup. We do have a special guest here tonight. I'm going to let Gil go ahead and introduce him. But if you don't already know, my name is Brandon Rabe. I'm a full-time investor in residential real estate. I get to do this full-time because earlier this year, I had to step away from my delivery job as a UPS driver. So something I really enjoy, along with what Cedric said, doing a boot camp and just being an advisor with WNN Properties, which is a mentorship company. So that's who I am. I also co-host this event along with that in-person event that Cedric was talking about with Gilbert and Rod, who is out serving our country. So that's who I am. That's what I've done. And I'm just glad that you guys are here with us tonight. I do want to remind you folks that we do have a roster. So after our initial conversation, if you want to call it this, we're going to go into small breakout rooms and we may not be able to connect with everyone there. And because this is a networking call, I'm going to put the roster link in the chat. And that's for you folks to fill out if you want. And in there, you can connect with other people outside of your small group later on and to share a good deed or share a resource or present a need. So go ahead and use that link to connect with other people on the group. The link is there in the chat. So thank you guys for being here. And I'd like to call up Mr. Gilbert Coloma. What's up, Gil?
Right on, Brandon. Thanks. And Cedric, man, that was an awesome opening to the call here. Awesome. But for those of you who don't know who I am, name is Gilbert Coloma. I'm still working a W-2. Investing out of state out there in the Midwest to gain more passive income, right? So I'm doing that, as well as working a W-2 to hopefully retire sooner rather than later and join Brandon Robbie, the ranks of being a full-time real estate investor. I am also the co-host of Westside Meetup here, as well as Real Estate in the Park I am also an advisor with WNN Properties, where we do consulting and mentoring for those that are wanting to invest out of state. That's just a little bit about me. Now I'd like to go ahead and introduce our guest for this evening, Mr. Brooks Onishi. All yours, man. Go for it.
I almost said good morning. Good afternoon, guys and gals. It's an honor to be here to talk, and you guys gotta listen because you're muted, so it's kind of nice. I hope that I can add some value in one form or another. Mortgages are what I do full time right now, and but I have, I guess, a very eclectic background of different skill sets. Did real estate from 2004 to 2015, and that's all the way from sales to property management. And then in 15, I kind of made the transition over to mortgages, and I enjoyed that a lot more. Been around it my whole life, literally. Like, my grandparents had a property management company, and after school, I didn't go home and play with the kids in my neighborhood. I went home and went to the office and did paperwork and just figured out how to keep myself occupied. And lo and behold, I ended up getting into the industry. So it just goes to show you that what we do as parents, it really kind of rubs off on the household and our ohana and all that, yeah. And Gil seems to think that I got something to say, so I'm here and I appreciate it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Brooks. Awesome. Thanks for giving us a little bit of background. And yes, you do have something. You do have massive value that you can provide to the real estate investing community. And with the Fed hiking the rate again a little bit today, I think it was a quarter point, trying to scare everybody. But I kind of wanted to ask you, what do you see in the mortgage landscape? What's in store, basically?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't say for sure. I can speculate, right? And so I always get to this point where everybody's like, well, what should I do about my rate? Should I lock now? But unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball, right? The only thing that I can do is make a decision based off of the information that I have on hand right now, and that is only factored in for today. Anything other than that, you're gambling. And we don't like gambling. We like making educated decisions, right? With trying to mitigate risk factors. So that's up to my clients if they want to do that. But on the same token, the financial market's a little bit different. They're kind of moody and they like gossip, right? So and it's kind of funny, but so far the feds have done everything that they said they were going to do. So even though the rate went up today, there wasn't a huge impact on the retail side, because that rate is that here, but where it trickles down to the retail so that the consumer is actually applying for it on the mortgage, that is going to be factored in by the analysts for the banks themselves, right? So they have the ability to determine their risk threshold on a daily basis. So, and that's what's going to separate some of the banks from the bigger banks. Maybe they have more resources and assets. They can tend to be a little bit more competitive. And then the smaller ones, depending on the situations, like the federal credit unions and stuff, they've got their own little products that are unique to them, that they do well or specialize in. So it's just something that you find the one that you need if it's a specific product, and then you kind of see, well, the person that you're working with, do they have the knowledge to help you throughout the process and all that stuff. So I honestly, I hope, here's what I hope, not think, I hope that it's going to continue to creep up a little bit, and then either at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, maybe we'll see a little bit of a drop, but
cool,
no guarantees.
Yeah, I mean, like, when the Fed started raising rates last year, right? everybody was in shock. They didn't know what to do it. But now, I mean,
Right.
a year later, it seems like everybody's getting used to what the rates are now, and there seems to be an uptick in sales. Have you seen
Mhm.
that on the loan side?
I have. So on the retail lending side, VA. So when conventional mortgages started to kind of fall off, veterans are still buying. They're You don't have to worry about them losing jobs if they're active duty, right? In fact, they couldn't get out of the job if they wanted to, type of thing. And it's a really secure loan product. So they were still buying. Different pockets I'm noticing on the islands, different islands, because I've always, for a while, I've structured it that I fly back and forth between here and the Big Island. That's just kind of where life took me. So I've got a network on both sides, and I kind of enjoy just feeling like I'm a traveled businessman, that I get to jump on a plane and go, to outer island. But and then just recently, since meeting you guys, I started going to Maui more, and spent some time up there with Joyce, and got to talk to some of your members and some of the other people that were in one of the meetups that she set up. So, and that was good for me because my grandmother's from Maui, and so I've been able to reconnect with my family and up there recently too. So I'm really enjoying where this journey is taking me.
Yeah, nice. I mean, yeah, the way I met Brooks was through social media, right? And one thing led to another. I was able to, visit him at his office out there on Ala Moana Boulevard, the old Gold Bond building. If y'all know where that is, right? I've never been in there. Always passed it every
Yeah,
time I go down to Ala Moana Shopping Center. But I was privileged to to hang out with him and talk story with him up there. But speaking of Loan Depot, um, what kind of products do they have for investors, or if you could go through that a little bit?
for sure. So it's one of those things that when the market gets difficult, banks will create products for the market. So they're going to make sure that they can still lend, um, which is kind of reminiscent of the whole 2008 when we were doing like no docs, like stated loans, like, oh yeah, I make so much money, and they were just basically, the banks just wanted to make money and they were giving it away at that point. So I really hope that's not what's happening, but you're already starting to see the very unique products come up. The non-QM products are what I think we're more familiar with in the investment side. So like DSCR, I've got that, which is really cool because I have a DSCR that I can combo with the 40-year interest only. So I'm amortizing it 10 years longer than most people. And then on top of that, the only payment that you got to cover is an interest only payment with the rent. So that it really opens up, more that ratio for you to qualify with a DSCR loan. I have fix and flip too. And what else do I have? Bridge loans. Bridge loans are starting to become popular now because you have people that want to buy something, but they're not ready to sell, or whatever that situation is. So it gives them the ability to secure the property that they're trying to get into. They have a year to sell and pay off the lien. That's kind of like, it's structured more like a HELOC. So it's an interest only HELOC on the residence that they're departing from, and then they can just make it work in between there. So I think that the DSCR, the fix and flip, and that bridge loan is pretty much the one that's popular now with the unique situations we're in.
Nice. You got me at DSCR and 40-year. I want to hear
I
more
know,
about
I
that.
know.
I'm gonna talk to you about after this call,
I'll
but
end with that. Yeah.
is that is that eligible for Missouri? Can we use that in
Well,
Missouri?
see, here's the other thing too that I wanted to talk to you guys about is, Loan Depot's nationwide. So you guys have a team there. I've got one too. I we might as well try to link them up and see if we can't make some of those, like kind of do like a group savings type thing with our team up there.
Nice, yeah, because we have a whole bunch of different investors here. Like you said, you have something for fix and flippers, as well as bridge loans and DSCR loans, which we as buy and hold investors may be interested in, right? But I mean, you think that's gonna take off? Is it available now?
Yeah, these are currently available products. It's just one of those things where you can combine them with multiple different things. There's that 40-year and the interest only is kind of like an a la carte combination right there by itself. And there's a whole slew of other ones. We can do condo tails, which I haven't had many clients in that section, but there's a lot of stuff. So really, with the BRRRR strategy, and you're really making a calculated decision and figuring out like, hey, this is the exit strategy, and you're doing that up front while you're doing the acquisition, right? Or I mean, that would just stand to reason for me. So, but I still got to learn from you guys. And why not pick my brain and say, hey, you know what? I'm structuring a deal, analyzing it. If I can purchase it, here's a rehab. Can you let me know what it would look like to make an exit on it? And I'd offer that to everybody. Just pick my brain,
Nice.
and then you get that, peace of mind up front.
Perfect. That sounds good, Brooks. And I'm still hung up on the DSCR. If you could, explain a little bit about what that is, what type of loan that is for people that are new to this and are wanting to know what a DSCR loan is.
Yeah. So basically the DSCR loan is unique, and it's favorable in the investment community because the main, and I mean, it's really like the only thing that you have to do to qualify is to make sure that the monthly payment of the loan is going to be covered by the rent of the property. If you can make that work, I mean, really, they're not that strict on everything else. So it's kind of a slam dunk. And that's really the tricky thing, right? So, I mean, in real estate and when I was heavy into VA, a lot of the military members are putting in 100% offers, and they're like, okay, I want to rent it out when I move. But if you do 100% on a VA, not only is it 100%, right, you financed of the loan, but if you have a funding fee on top of that, then you're 103% leveraged as soon as you own the house. So trying to rent it out as soon as, when you're ready to go is either you got to cash out, refinance it, and get your DTI lower so that you can make the payment, or you're selling. So in other areas where, and I think maybe that's why you guys are really liking the Missouri areas, those are more cash flow states, right? The properties aren't increasing and decreasing. There's no fluctuation in equity in excess like there is in Hawaii. So yeah, that sounds like the perfect place.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys probably using it over there right now, right? So
I'm pretty sure there's some members in our group that are using the DSCR loan. And one thing you touched on was the debt to income ratio, DTI. So does the DTI get factored in to when you apply for a DSCR loan, or is it totally
it's
separate?
just the payment. The primary thing is the payment. So as long as the rent covers the payment. Now, the one thing that I will say that I've run into is they will take the lower amount. So like the appraiser or the underwriters, right? They're going to take the lower amount between the appraised value and what the appraiser will list as what you could get for rent. And if you actually have rental agreement, and you're currently bringing in income, they're going to take the lesser of the two to qualify. So, but that's a typical bank thing. They're always going to do the lesser or the worst case scenario. So that's pretty common. But I've run into a couple of situations where you think we're getting everything. Like, I've got a rental agreement, I've got all this monthly income, I'm actually getting it, but the way that the loan is designed, it's so flexible up front that it has these weird little like intricacies. And so that was so far the only one that I've come into that was just kind of like a out of left field hiccup.
Nice, nice. So I guess that's where we come to you, right? Hey, Brooks, I don't know what this is. What is this, right? We basically have that conversation with you or whoever that loan officer is to get us through and you navigate those waters, right? When we have questions. So go see your loan officer or expert,
friendly local lender.
Well, yeah. But another thing that I wanted to touch on or kind of transition into is Brooks is on a mission. I want to call it a mission to educate the local people out here in Hawaii, and that's kind of what we went up to his office for to kind of talk story about and how we can move this forward. Being that financial literacy is not really taught in the education system. That was brought up right when we were talking story, but if you could touch on that a little bit about what you're wanting to do and get the community involved, real estate investing community.
For sure. So and I'll take it back to kind of where how it all started was I had to figure out how to be relevant in the investment community. I've wanted to invest for so long. I've watched my grandparents do it. I watched my mom do it. And so like, I'm just like on the sidelines ready to go, right? But lo and behold, here comes COVID and all this stuff. And, everybody's plans are kind of put on hold. And then we come out of that and I'm ready to go. Well, the market slows down. So oddly enough, I'm W-2, but it's commissioned, right? So if I don't close a loan, I don't get paid, but I am paid through W-2. And I think that's unique to the banking industry versus like a realtor would be a 1099 when I was in real estate. But I come out of this, stupor from COVID and I'm like, oh, wow, everybody's active on social media. Like, okay, these are the people I've been following. I started to get one deal come across, my desk and I'm like, well, you know what, I think I can do this. And slowly just started to get into it. But I realized that I still had this pull or this yearn to help because I've seen like literally hundreds and hundreds of credit reports and I've had to let hundreds and hundreds of people down, like you can't qualify, like, and then they're like, okay, what do we have to do to qualify? And the reality of it is either you got to make more money all of a sudden somehow, or you got to get more money for a down payment, right? So really it's either increasing your down payment to lower the loan amount and lower your monthly payment, or you're trying to lower your interest rate, or there's only so many things you can do, but it's not like most people can just go out, get a second job, or find something that is lucrative enough to actually make it worth it and then to keep them engaged, right? And I think that through my experience, I've really boiled it down to it's the literacy, it's the education, it's number one, it's not generational, I mean it is if you have it, but it's not a common thing. I guess in the grand scheme of things, we're fairly young as households, and financial literacy wasn't like 3 generations above. Some of those generations were still migrating to Hawaii or to the US, right? And so I had to wonder, like, what's the difference between me and some of the other people that are doing okay in life and the ones that are having a hard time? And it really is their environment, right? It's their environment, it's the culture, but I can't affect all that. But what I can affect is, the one thing that I do on a daily basis is talk about the numbers and help guide people on how to get to where they want to be, which is homeownership. So a lot of times I'll have people say like, oh, I can't qualify. And I'm like, oh, you've gone through the process before? And they're like, no. I'm like, so then how do you know? It's, oh, we're going to save up some more money. I'm like, oh, like what dollar amount are you trying to save up to? Oh, this and this. I said, well, prices are going up. So what happens if you save 10,000, but the value just went up 10,000? You just saved for nothing because you could have just bought it earlier. It would have been the same situation. So really educating clients and just, people in general, whoever wants to listen, everybody's entitled and deserves that kind of information. And actually what I found is it's available. It is. So our school system, and I don't know if this is for all DOE, but school systems pull their curriculum from a company that puts it all together, right? Financial literacy is one of those modules that is available to them, but the school systems choose not to use it because it's not a priority. And then I started digging into it, and I'm like, YouTube, you know how many TED Talks there are on financial literacy? That's what I go to sleep to, watching that at night and just hearing it and getting some ideas of, okay, this makes sense. That's a good one. I didn't think about that. As well as this is a global thing, not just a Hawaii thing, not just a US thing, but it's really a global thing. And it needs all of us to participate and help in order for it to actually make an impact and affect change. So back to when loans slowed down, I had to figure out how to be relevant in the community that I want to hang around and participate. And everybody's talking hard money loans and private money lending. And I'm like, well, I can't compete with that. I'm employed over here. I'm not in a position to make a transition to be a full-time investor at the moment. So how do I add value, right? And lo and behold, my office had a podcast room and nobody was really using it. And I saw all the Portuguese on Instagram. They all like talk. So, hey, look what I got. But for a great reason. And I've just had an amazing amount of support. Everybody's like really, the community is amazing. And this is why I am focusing all my energy on being full-time in this community in whatever capacity. It may not even be loans, whatever it is, but the outreach and the financial literacy and the education of that is my life's work now. That's my main goal in life and priority, is to do that. And that will help me to provide for my family too, right? So that's what I've been doing. And it's a slow start because, we have to juggle everything and manage it while you're in flux and transition. And so that's where I'm at. But I'm fortunate that I have a lot of good supporters, even, as far as like my employer side, because these guys are bankers. Like, they don't get it. They're like, no, you should be talking to realtors right now. Loans are slow. Go talk to realtors. And I'm like, who do you think the realtors are talking to? The investors. I said, so you're fishing at the bottom. I'm fishing at the top. But this is where I want to be anyway. So it's awesome. It's amazing. And I can't tell you how many times I get chicken skin and then tearing up. And it's just, so the more that everyone wants to, and that was the other thing too, is everybody's so busy, but everybody has a good heart, but they don't have the ability or the bandwidth to take on something like that themselves. So it's just something that everybody's like, you know what, I wanted to do this, but it's awesome that you're doing it. And it gives everybody an opportunity to just kind of jump on that. And I'm going to do it till I can for some reason, but I'm going to keep doing it.
Nice. Yeah. And one thing, I'd like to touch on is, when I started in this real estate investing world, and my journey took me, I was just tripping out how good the networking was and how much everybody in the community was just willing to share and, help each other out. And, to this day, I'm still tripping out how good it is, and everybody is there for you. And, when you invited me over to your office, to do that, I was like, no. At first, I was apprehensive. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But then, I kind of found out what you, in your background, we texted back and forth a little bit, and I kind of like what you're doing for the community. And I think it's going to be awesome because, just bridging that gap, like you said, people just give up at that first,
Yeah.
roadblock that they hit. You're like, oh no, and they go back into that scarcity mindset. But you come into groups like this with like-minded individuals, and everything seems possible. And we did talk about a lot of things, trying to move things forward. Are you able to touch on some of that, or is that still in the works, or how you're gonna go about this this mission you're on?
Well, so to begin with, it was one of those things where I just showed up. I'm a newbie. Nobody knows what I'm about, nobody. So one of these things that I learned from one of my earlier mentors was nobody cares what you know till they know that you care, right? So, and love and aloha is, I try my best. I'm not perfect, but like my own personal motto is love is the answer, aloha's the way. Like, so if I can just show everybody aloha, and it'll come back. It's infectious, so getting established and letting people know that, I'm, for one, that I actually have some experience that's relative to our industry or real estate. And then letting them know that I care and this is something that I'm passionate about. That's like the ground level foundation. And then, having to think kind of entrepreneurial of how I'm gonna integrate and make an impact. It became social media was the thing. That's where we all hang out to see what everybody's doing. There's updates there, there's opportunities there, so I had to switch from thinking that you spend too much time on Instagram to, what, the time that you do spend there, make sure it's intentional, make sure it's for work or it's for the podcast or the outreach, and not just looking at stuff. So I actually started going through my account, getting rid of all the stuff I don't want to see, that's not investing related, that's not going to edify my mind or my soul. And really now my personal account it's all our community, and it's just me sharing info. But the podcast account is really where everything comes out of. But it's kind of twofold, because nobody's going to listen to me if they don't think that I have something to say. So
Nice. Yeah, I like what you're doing, man. So awesome. And
thank you.
we're here to support you each and every way we can. Whichever way, whatever way that looks like, we'll figure it out, right? And
Same here. I'm here for you guys.
Part of the community and networking. Do we have any questions in the chat here? I'll start doing some Q&A here for you, Brooks, if you don't mind. There's some
Nope.
questions here. So Cedric is asking, what do you suggest to the newbie investor to help improve the financial literacy of our kids in the next generation? I'm not sure if you touched on that yet.
Kids in the next generation, that's good. Well, the first thing you do is you put on your mask before you put on theirs, right? So if you don't understand it, how are they? If it's not important to you, it's not going to be important to them. So lead by example, and let me know if I can help. Be glad to.
Nice. Another question Cedric has here is she's going back to that DSCR loan also. He says, can we purchase with DSCR while the subject property is vacant? Not sure what you mean by that, Cedric.
Yes, yes, you can. And then that's where the appraiser is going to list what that fair market rent value will be. And then that's what the ratios are going to be based off of. So, and that's the hard part, I think, on the DSCR for a purchase. If you don't have a rental agreement and it's vacant, then you really have to go to that point where it's a pay to play type of thing, you got to pay for the appraisal to find out if it's going to be worth it. So I think maybe talking to as many realtors or other people in the area that are knowledgeable about the market, until you are confident that, you know what, I know this can rent for 1,400, my payment's only 1,000, we're good, So once you get to that point, then I think you on an individual basis will be comfortable taking calculated risks. But I think up in front, there might be some situations where you got to wait to see what the appraisal says before you can really feel good about it.
Awesome. Iris has a question here. I'm not sure what she's asking. How much do you have to put down?
So on the purchase for a DSCR, we can go up to 80% loan to value. I think that's pretty mainstream, typical. There may be some that can do 85% loan to value. And then that's, and then on the refi, we're looking at cash out refi is about 75% loan to value.
Okay. Speaking of cash out refis, because that's part of the the burst strategy there. Do you guys require a seasoning period
for the property?
Yep, correct.
I'm gotta double check on that for you. I haven't. Okay. I've only done purchases. I actually haven't had anybody come to me with the refi yet. Not here, because again, it's rare that we have that. So most of the people that are doing it are only that my clients anyway. They were kind of more in a urgent type situation because they're either over budget or they couldn't sell it because the markets continue to do what it does while you're waiting for permits, right? But I would double check for you.
Nice, thank you. Kim has a question here. She's asking, how does appraiser determine rent? Appraisers versus, I'm thinking, property manager look for different things usually.
To be honest, I don't know what kind of formula they use for the rent. So I would imagine they're calling around. Nowadays, everybody, even property managers are using the same thing, right? We go on Craigslist or Facebook and see what's being advertised and then take that with a grain of salt, because just because it's being advertised, that doesn't mean that's what they're going to actually fill the vacancy at as far as, the rental amount. So it's one of those things that when I became a property manager, I had to kind of pay attention to how quick something was moving, how long it was on at that price, and then feel out my tenants when I was showing it to gauge the interest. So I can find out about that too, for sure. But off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure.
Nice. Thank you. Joyce is asking, is there a seasoning period with DSCR if you already have a rental agreement?
Well, that's where I mentioned earlier, it's the rental agreement. They're still going to take whichever is lower is either going to be your actual rental agreement or the appraiser's fair rent value. So I've had situations where I actually had a situation where there's three units. We got three rental agreements, more than enough income. But because one of them was unpermitted, he only gave rent for the 2 units, and that kind of threw everything off.
Gotcha.
But that was the Hail Mary anyway, and they kind of knew it, right?
Right. They gave it a shot, and they got their answer right. So, cool. Well, Cedric is asking. He goes, Auntie Fannie Mae and Uncle Freddie Mac usually let us get up to 10 mortgages. Does a DSCR count in that 10 or not?
They don't. It doesn't, because so like a DSCR loan, it doesn't even hit your credit report, right? It's not held at the same standard because it's not Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So you can have multiple properties, but it's going to depend on that lender too, right? So these non-QM products I broker out, and it's whatever their threshold is going to be. So our guy says anything over 10 doesn't matter to them. But I haven't gotten to like, okay, well, what's your limit on that type of thing? So,
Right.
But I mean,
Well,
maybe you guys and your team might be closer or more frequently approaching that. Like, I got more than 10. If you guys are collecting doors, right?
right. Correct. Eventually somebody will find out, right? We hit that threshold there. Awesome. I think that's all questions we have for now. Oh, Raymond just popped one up. Probably not. Would you go off of short-term rental income?
I don't think so. But I haven't had that situation either. The only one I've had recently was a condotel, which this particular condotel didn't qualify because it's too small. So I've learned recently that the condotel requirements, they want it to be like 600 square feet or over, and it has to have, they're looking for a full kitchen, whereas this one was like 300 square feet and it only had like a hot plate. And I was like, that 300 square feet in a condotel is probably really common in Waikiki and Hawaii. So
Right.
you know, it just may not be one of those things that I get to utilize often.
Nice. Right. Only one way to find out is gotta try, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. At this point, there is one more question, but Abigail, I'm gonna hold off. And I'll circle right back around to you, Brooks. But at this part of the presentation or meetup, I'd like to go ahead and bring on our investor spotlight, Mr. Shaun Dela Calzada, all the way out there in Missouri, someplace in Missouri. I don't even know exactly where he is in Missouri, but he's out there somewhere. So our fellow WNN advisor, Shaun, go ahead, man. Do your thing.
Hello, everybody. Right on, Brooks. Good stuff, man. I know I met you a few months ago at the Kako event, and hey, you taking action, man. You're doing what you said, bro. Good stuff, man. Gil asked me, thanks guys for having me on. Gil asked me to share a little bit about myself, what I do in REI and what's in the future. So if all you guys don't know me, my name is Shaun Dela Calzada, local boy, born and raised on Oahu, Mamanalo and Honolulu. I graduated from Kamiki High School. I went to college, studied up football, got my bachelor's in social criminal justice, and I moved back to Oahu. I'm currently an adult correction officer at OCCC. I serve in the Hawaii Army National Guard. I'm a sergeant in the Field Artillery, 147, Ikino. I'm a family man. I got 3 kids and happily married. As for real estate, as for real estate, I buy and hold in Kansas City, Missouri. I have 2 properties out in Hawaii that's rented. I currently have 2 with my wife, 2 commercial properties in Kansas City, Missouri. And I just locked up my 3rd one. I have 3 now in KCMO, single family homes. I'm currently under contract for 2 more. Should be closing soon in a couple weeks. A little bit about myself. So backtrack 2021. My wife Tanya, if you guys don't know, I'm the better half. She wanted to join WNN, and back then they didn't have the total immersion. They had the one-on-one program only, and it was a really large investment. So I wasn't really 100% committed, and I was more on the support role. And I kind of we enrolled, happy wife, happy life. So I was like, sure, let's go. So we enrolled basically during that time, during like 2020, 2022. It was pretty rough. I came back from deployment from Afghanistan. We lost our 2nd daughter. That's why it's called Shine Bright Real Estate. That's her name. We lost her, and then and in result, I just drank. That was my coping mechanism. I'm not here to or give a sob story, but I'm here to share and inspire you guys, because I did flip the script. I did. So 2023 came. We sat down, did our goals. It's something we do with WNN vision, clarity. So she sat down. She goes, "All right, you do your goals. I'll do mine. All right. Won't judge. I won't criticize." Sure enough, she did. So 2022, I did a little about the same thing. I read some books and yada yada. I read the Burr book. That was it. So 2023, this was after New Year's Eve. We was all partying, having a good time. So we sat down on the balcony outside, talked our goals. I said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read 8 books, which ain't realistic. I'm gonna read 8 books, and I'm gonna study on real estate. And knowing her, she did criticize me. She goes, "Oh, how about you?" I mean, she did it real passively. So she goes, "How about you? I'll just sit back on the WNN calls." I said, "All right, I'll do that." And then, yeah, sure enough, January, I did that. You know, that community, they're not gonna just let you sit around. They're gonna, get you involved. And it's kind of like this, you get used to feeling uncomfortable. It's only for the better. So February, I was able to lock up my first deal, my Burr, on my own. Pretty much done. It's on the market listed. It's right by the Chief Stadium, like literally 1.4 miles. So I mean, it's good. What do? Gil was the one who assisted me with that project management. Was able to add a bathroom, force appreciation, bring the value up, and yeah. So I'm waiting to get that rented. My second deal I got in April. It was a hybrid Burr, so it's tenant occupied, so I didn't have to do rehab. Just got to deal with some of the headaches, but I mean, it's good. So it's just cash flowing. But what I was able to do was I restructured the lease, so I was able to up the rent a little bit and get a little bit more. So it's cash flowing. Just a couple days, 2 days ago, I think I just closed on my third one, single family home also, Independence. So that one, we'll be doing a little touch up, little capex and cosmetics, but we should get that going, get it performing soon. And then I'm currently in escrow for 2 more. So should be closing soon if everything goes smooth. So yeah, in 2023, I said I was gonna read 8 books, and today it's acquire 10 properties. So what I'm doing is I'm looking to raise PML to close on these 10. I'm moving a lot faster than I thought I was, than I imagined. I'm out here in KCMO, so I'm networking every day. I'm analyzing new deals, following up on old deals. I'm stepping into project management and an advisor with Gil then. And yeah, it's pretty much it.
That's fire.
One thing I wanted to share, one thing I wanted to share is, last thing I wanted to share is basically, like, if your vision is clear and your why is strong, and you have great support, such like I do for example, WNN, you guys, my family, and my wife, everything's possible. Yeah, man. And then one more thing is, nothing is a priority if everything is a priority. Get that balance. Nothing is a priority if everything is a priority. But that's about it, guys.
Perfect.
Hopefully I brought some
Thanks.
value and some inspiration, guys.
That's some massive value, and you're taking some massive action over there. And you said some massive stuff in there. This thing is recorded, and Tani's gonna watch it, right? So
yeah, it was bumping heads already, so she's sleeping.
Oh boy.
No.
Right on, Shaun. Thanks for sharing your story. You are taking massive action out there in Missouri. Thanks for coming on. But I'd like to circle back around to Brooks and thank Mr. Brooks Onishi for coming out here, providing massive value, also talking about the current mortgage market, as well as his future goals with networking and bringing the community together and financial literacy and whatnot. Good stuff, Brooks. Brandon, do you have any questions left or any questions for Brooks?
Yeah, thanks, Gil, and thank you, Shaun, for sharing your story. For Brooks, I know we had a question in the chat from Abigail about offering down payment assistance. Do you mind speaking on that really quick?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting that was brought up. There are starting to be more and more down payment assistance programs, but they're coming out of the woodworks where I kind of feel like I got to validate them. But I just got off the call with a nonprofit today that actually has that. They have a deferred second, which you can use as like a second mortgage in lieu of a down payment. And this particular product, I'm not sure if it's Native Hawaiian specific from their portfolio or it's just income based, because we had talked about a bunch of different things and my mind was just but they have one, that particular one, it's a deferment. So they'll go up to $100,000 depending, I don't know what their criteria is on that, but you don't have to make any payments on it. And if you sell it under the right circumstances and you're basically passing on the savings and you're in that same criteria, like you're not just trying to get rich off of it and cash out. If you sell it, you don't have to pay it back. It just perpetuates to the next buyer. So like these things are like where I get excited, like what? So there's starting to be more and more of those, and definitely, you know, like through all of this, I'm putting together the resources, and that's really what it is. I'm more of a networker and a relationship management, and so just finding all this stuff out there, because it's out there. And a lot of, I've already got a couple of nonprofits ask like, hey, we want a fresh take on how to get this information out to the public, because they just, their systems are real outdated, you know. We got to get them out of the basement, open the window, shed some light. And the one thing that I'm telling them is, I said, well, what I'm gaining success and traction on is social media. So start to calculate a social media budget into your nonprofit and really double down on it. And I'm also going to include that portion into the networking or to the podcast, and the website I'm building for it is, it'll have that opportunity for the resources of nonprofits as well as what they offer to the community.
Awesome. And just to clarify, is this for primary residents, investment properties, or both? Do you know?
It's for primary residents. Like I don't know that personally. I think if you're getting into the investment side of it, most banks aren't really gonna, or there aren't going to be too many products that are going to help you with that down payment. I don't know. I could be wrong, but most of that energy and that effort and that structure is going to be towards your primary residence and getting people into homes.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's good to know. That sounds like a very powerful strategy. So thank you for sharing. If we wanted more information on that, is there a website we go to, or can we just connect with you and then you'd walk us through that process?
Yeah, I would say connect with me, because there's more and more of these opportunities coming up or resources. So I'm building a website right now. I actually have a meeting tomorrow to kind of structure that out, and it's going to have different things. And you know, having WNN on there is going to be one of my highlights. So like I'm totally stoked that I get to speak with you guys. Another opportunity to speak with everybody, because I personally think that there's so many modalities or mediums of investing, but just like credit reports, there's no one that's like exactly the same. Everybody's got a different financial situation. Everybody's got different, you know, income and employment situations. So it's not a one size fits all approach. So, you know, there could be a bunch of people that, and I like the idea of this, because I don't know where to go. And sometimes I need that accountability. And I'm so busy with these other things that it would help if I had the ability to sit down and listen to some Akamai people that are already doing it, and they set it up so that I can just show up and do the damn thing. You know, it's like I got into CrossFit at one point, and I know, like, I just show up, I'm gonna get my ass kicked, I'm gonna get a workout, because they set it up that way. The systems, the processes are already built. So that's the kind of stuff that I like. Let me just show up and I'm going to work it, you know, because everybody else is working it, and I'm going to be damned if I'm the only one sitting on the sidelines, right?
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, Brooks, what's the best way to get in touch with you? I know you got a couple of Instagrams, you got that podcast. Let us know how we can get in touch with you.
So cell phone, 808-372-7092 is, I guess, the mainstream business way. Most of the community is going to find us on Instagram. My personal account is Vanguard_Hawai'i. And then the podcast is Real Hawai'i Talk.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to post that in the chat.
Thank you.
And okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, I just want to, thank you again, Brooks, for coming on, talking about the mortgage rates, the market, and even financial literacy. And even Shaun
Appreciate
too,
it.
right? Just sharing your story as well. Very inspirational. Now,
Shaun was important for this part of my journey too. I sat down and talked to this guy, and I'm not often I get to sit down and look up at somebody. Yeah, so but I really liked the dynamic of seeing them together. It's first of all, it's not easy to raise a family here, right? So much outside factors that are stress. But to do that and then kicking it to high gear, and we're going to do something on top of what we're already doing to survive, like that's inspirational.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so we're about to shift gears now into our next segment of the call. And our next segment is really just going out into smaller networking rooms, right? This is a networking event, and we are here to connect, just like kind of Brooks was saying, getting out there, putting ourselves out there and meeting new people, creating opportunities. Before we transition into that, I did want to post some things in the chat, which are ways to get in touch with myself, Cedric, and Gilbert, along with Shaun. And then also, if you haven't already, go ahead and fill out that meetup roster, because these breakout rooms, we're not going to be able to see all. Looks like there's 38 of us here, which is awesome. And yeah, we may not be able to talk to everybody. So that meetup roster is there just to get plugged into the community and let people know, what you're doing, what you need help with, and what you might be able to offer other people as well. And then just as a quick recap, what Cedric was saying earlier on our call with the Facebook group, we have a Facebook group that you can go ahead and join. You can stay up to date with everything happening with Westside Meetup, along with our YouTube channel, where we're going to post this recording, and also getting onto our email list, where you'll get updated automatically with the link to hop on, and then our exciting guests, and then recapping of what we talked about. All right. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna hop into our Zoom breakout rooms, and in these rooms, I think we're going for 25 minutes. Is that right, Gil?
Perfect.
All
Yep.
right. So 25 minutes, we're gonna share who we are, what we do in real estate, and what we're working on. And if you're brand new, that's totally fine as well. We'd love to hear how we can support you. So we'll do that for the next 25 minutes, and we'll come back in here. So I'll see you guys
Cool.
shortly.